¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Welcome, everybody. Derry Bennett, how's it going? The strike is not over. No, I don't think so. At least the UAW strike is still ongoing. We will talk about that. But yes, it has not ended. Good afternoon, Alio. How's it going? Welcome. Donald Trump has been on a prolific Truth Social tear calling for the execution of a top military general, vowing revenge on NBC network, and demanding Republican leaders take action against the automatic voter registration to protect him from once again losing the popular vote. All of that was over the weekend. On Monday, the former president picked up the pace of the attacks on New York Attorney General Letitia James have been utterly sued by the Trump-hating Democrat attorney. I did nothing wrong, and they still indicted me. Not surprising. Michael Hassler, how's it going? Welcome. I looked at some of his posts. They're all just videos. Crooked Joe Biden, who is killing the United Auto Workers with his weak stance on China and his ridiculous insistence on all electric cars, every one of which will be made in China. Saw that I was going to Michigan this week, Wednesday. So the fascists in the White House just announced that he would go there tomorrow. That was the only way to get him out of the basement and off his lazy, presumably, ass. He has been a complete disaster for all auto workers in the U.S. So much to do with that warped plan in mind, there won't be any more. I don't know, his website sucks. To have the logistics on the on that. Biden announced that he was going to be there before Trump did. Pretty sure this was scheduled for him to be there a while ago. Before Trump, anyways. Not that it matters. And play one sound clip, and we'll get started. Okay.
It's no wonder that far-left lunatics are getting desperate to stop our movement by any means necessary. As you know, Crooked Joe and the radical left thugs have weaponized law enforcement to arrest their leading opponent. Me, I'm their leading opponent. I'm their only opponent.
I did nothing wrong, and they indicted me.
On fake and phony charges. I went through a whole life. I never heard the word indictment. All of a sudden, every day, I'm getting indicted. In fact, I'm getting a little concerned because we had a poll this weekend that was so big. I said, here we go, more indictments. Every time we get a good poll, we get indicted.
No, that's not actually how that works. As far as we know, there's no other criminal cases going on against him. No, he's not getting indicted because his poll numbers are going up, or whatever the case he's trying to claim. Or the point being is that his argument is that every time he rises in the polls, that there's another indictment because this is, in his eyes, politically motivated, yada yada yada. It's not. As far as I know, there's no other criminal case that's happening at the time. Yeah. No, that's not how that works. Alio with the 11 biddies, thank you so much. Yeah, indicated. There you go. Yeah, subscribe to the YouTube. Do the YouTubes.
This is high-level election interference, and it's happening for a single reason.
It's not.
Because I'm the only candidate they do not want to run against. You know, they talk misinformation, disinformation. They're close enough. You know, somebody said, what's the difference? I said, I can tell you the difference, but they're very close. But they're very good at misinformation, disinformation. They say they see Trump is leading by 55 points. Think of that.
Trump, what? In no poll is Trump leading 55 points against Biden. Does he mean like 55 to 55? Or 55 to 40? I don't get it. 55 to 45?
And leading by 10 points against him.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, so he thinks he's leading 55 to 45 double digits against Joe Biden. As far as we know, that's not representative of like accurate. That's not a very accurate assessment. It's just a lie. What if Trump is actually losing daily? Tweets, speeches every week. Even if Trump did not have 7 court cases, Trump owes money. Yeah, but I don't know what that's. Are you saying that he's gonna lose because of that? I don't know.
The Washington Post, ABC, 10 points. That's a lot, you know, because it's like considered a lot. It's hard for Republicans.
Okay. So he's referencing the latest poll that has already been scrutinized. It is not a representative of the majority of data that we have. It is an outlier. It is true that there is a poll that came out that showed Trump 10 points ahead of Biden. However, that is considered an outlier. It's not really representative of the consistent results that we've been getting when it comes to like a general election. Most of it has been pretty tied. So that's what we have to work with right now.
To lead by that much in the fake news media. The fake news media doesn't want to do that. But when they see these numbers, they get crazy.
Anyways, yeah, no, just because you're leading in a poll, does not automatically mean you will get indicted. That's not how indictments work. You have to actually go through like the criminal process and present your evidence to a to a grand jury, and then the grand jury has to review that evidence and then make a decision as to whether or not they're going to hand indictments. Okay, that's how that works. You can't. There's no such thing as being indicted because of poll numbers. Now, exactly, no candidate says for the third time to shut down the government's really bad and negative results because Trump has to win the 2024 election and court cases take Trump off the ballot. I don't think Trump's going to be off the ballot. I don't think it's going to happen. There's no indication that any state is going to successfully remove Trump from the ballot. I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. Whether or not you want to make the argument that it should is another thing, but I don't think that Trump is going to be taken off the ballot. I just don't think so. There's no court cases or anything of that nature that is currently in progress right now. Could that change? Maybe. It may be the case that following more, down the line, it may be the case. But right now, no, I don't think so. All right, folks, let's get this show started.
When you have the most pro-union president and he touts that he is emboldening the unions, this is what you get.
The first bill.
How is that a bad thing? Like, just to be clear, like, I don't know if I would consider Biden the most pro-union president. But like, if the Republicans are using that as a negative, I don't think that's an angle that they want to use. That would mean that if they feel like he's a pro-union president, that means he's a pro-worker president. That's a good thing. The use of the 14th Amendment to keep Trump off the 2020 ballot is under review, is under debate in Illinois. Yeah, I mean, it may be the case, but I don't know if that's going to be like a widespread thing. It may be the case that they may debate this, but I don't see it happening. Like, basically, they're opening a discussion.
He passed. Y'all remember the $1.9 trillion COVID relief package?
Yeah.
That only had 1% for COVID vaccines? It had $86 billion, I believe, for union pensions.
These strikes, these UAW strikes, again, are just part of a broader whole picture here, which is that the unions have paid off Joe Biden and the Democratic Party for literally decades on end, and finally they got their man in the White House.
Wait, are you saying Joe Biden's, like, special interests are unions and working class people? Holy shit.
The most pro-union president since Barack Obama, and probably more pro-union even than Barack Obama, who's too elitist. Joe Biden has been in the pocket of the union since day one in Wilmington, Delaware.
Jesus. Wow. A Colorado judge overseeing the first significant lawsuit to bar former President Trump from the state's 2024 presidential ballot issued a protective order prohibiting threats and intimidation in the case, saying that the safety of those involved including herself and staff, was necessary as the groundbreaking litigation moves forward. Oh, well, there's one case.
Well, now all of these unions are seeing their moment to shine.
Yeah. Yeah, Ben. I mean, damn. You're making this this Biden guy sound pretty freaking based. You're making you're making this Biden guy sound actually pretty freaking based. If that's like the attacks that you're going to levy against Biden, that he's too pro-union, he's in the pocket of unions.
Oh no, corporations might have to compensate their workers more fairly now that the most pro-union president has emboldened them. Boo-hoo, so sad. It's almost unbelievable to hear them say that. Because what these bootlickers don't realize is that they are campaigning for Biden when they say things like that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, damn, I want a president that's in the pocket of unions. I want a president whose like special interests are unions and the working class. Like I don't know if Biden is it, but the fact that they're using that as a negative is just so bizarre. Is just so freaking bizarre.
And they attack him like that. And what they're saying now is either bound to bite them in the ass or help Biden. But it's just a symptom of being rich and out of touch and not knowing how normal people will respond to what you're saying. Now, when Marjorie Taylor Greene, another out-of-touch elite, attacked Joe Biden for doing things that are objectively good, I think, the White House, to their credit, was quick to capitalize on what she said and turned that attack into an ad.
Joe Biden had the largest public investment in social infrastructure and environmental programs that is actually finishing what FDR started, that LBJ expanded on.
I remember this ad. This is a pretty good meme.
And Joe Biden is attempting to complete programs to address education, medical care, urban problems, rural poverty, transportation, Medicare, Medicaid, labor unions. And he still is working on it.
Holy shit, where is this Biden guy? Where can I vote for him? That's the kind of dude we need. I mean, I don't know if it's the Biden we've seen the last couple of years, but I like this. I like this version of Biden. I like this version of Biden. Echo Wrestle Dragon, how's it going? Thinking Sabercat, how's it going?
Don't scroll away. It's Senator Warnock. Listen.
Like, I don't know who they're talking about, but that's the guy I would vote for. Talking about like Medicare, elevating like labor. What?
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if the White House did the same thing with what Tim Scott and Nikki Haley are saying, and even Ben Shapiro.
You have a president that's constantly saying, go union, this is what you get. The unions.
Oh my god, I put something crazy in the whispers. All right, we'll take a look at it if we have time. Oh man, whoever's running like the White House account or the Biden account, they need to keep doing this.
Get emboldened and then they start asking for things.
The first bill he passed had $86 billion for union pensions.
This president clearly does prioritize union jobs, and he's made very clear.
Oh my god, the horror. It's 53 seconds long. All right, we'll take a look at it after this.
Here that union workers deserve more, that their pay increases have not come close to the success and the money that all of these auto companies have enjoyed.
But I want to dive into this.
That's hilarious. I mean, like, again, where is this guy? I want to vote for that guy.
Issue a little bit further, because these Republicans who bet against unions in favor of large multinational corporations are doing so at their own peril, and they don't even realize it. Because a Morning Consult poll finds that 75% of Americans support the United Auto Workers strike, while a Reuters poll found that 58% support the strike, including a plurality of Republicans at 48%. And when it comes to the actors and writers strike, 60% of the country supports it. Now, there's two types of Republicans: those who are anti-union and anti-labor and admit it, and those who are anti-union and anti-labor who don't admit it. But make no mistake about it, all Republicans are anti-union and anti-labor, and some of them are so dumb that they not only attack Biden for being too pro-union, but they attack the striking workers themselves. So let's go back to the comments made by Nikki Haley and Tim Scott in particular. First, let's look at Nikki Haley.
When you have the most pro-union president and he touts that he is emboldening the unions, this is what you get. And
What? Okay. Whatever. Like, again, like, where is this guy? Like, I want to vote for that guy. I want to vote for the most pro-union president that's emboldening unions. Yeah. That's the guy that I need to see there. Wine mom energy. And do you want a little Bernie in your Biden? No, I want just like the Bernie. I don't want Biden, to be quite frank, but yeah. I'll take what I can get.
I'll tell you who pays for it is the taxpayers. You know, here from what
Wait a minute. What are you talking about? The taxpayer? Wait. A pro-union president who's emboldening unions, who wants workers to fight for the wages that they've earned, is somehow, what? The taxpayers that are going to end up footing what exactly?
I understand, the union is asking for a 40% raise. The company.
Yes, a 40% raise, which is equivalent to the 40% raise that the CEO got. That's where that number came from. It didn't just magically like materialize out of thin air. That number is the number that is the percentage that the CEO got. That's it. Ali with the another 11 biddies. Thank you so much. Vicky Dex, welcome. You're addressing logic where there isn't any. True.
Needs to come back with a 20% raise. I think any of the taxpayers would love to have a 20% raise and think that's great. But, the problem is we're all going to suffer from this. This is going to cause things to go up. And
that's not always true. In fact, that's not how that works at all. I mean, like, you could just take, like, examples of how prices are different in Europe and whatnot. Like, the price of just to give you an example, price of a Big Mac isn't really that much higher, and the wages of a McDonald's worker over there, not only do they have higher wages, but they have more protections, and, like, the price of a Big Mac isn't really that much different.
And, this is going to last a while. But, when you have a president that's constantly saying, go union, this is what you get. The unions get emboldened, and then they start asking for things that, that companies have a tough time doing.
Yeah. Now I know what you're probably thinking.
Like, wait, what? The companies have a tough time giving raises to workers who produce the value, by the way, who make the value of the company. But somehow, magically, by, I guess, alchemy, the CEO is able to obtain 40% raises. They already get paid, tens of millions of dollars, right? We saw the numbers, right? It was like 20-something million dollars. Magically, they somehow Ford and Stellantis and GM, I believe is the other one, somehow they have that money, and somehow they're able to give these CEOs raises. But when workers are asking, like, well, where's our cut? Didn't we, like, contribute to the tens of billions of dollars in profit that the company made? That's based off of our labor. And, like, apparently that's too much. Apparently that's too much.
it's insane for her to suggest that the workers are the ones being unreasonable and asking for wages companies can't afford, considering the amount of money that the companies that they work for spend on stock buybacks, and not to mention CEO salaries. Because as USA Today reports, when it comes to compensation for CEOs of these companies, GM's Mary Barra makes $29.
Yeah, that's tens of millions of dollars, okay? What are you talking about? You don't have the money. And what are you talking about that asking for a raise is unreasonable? What's unreasonable is CEOs making 29, 24, $21 million.
That's $21 million for Ford's Jim Farley and $24.8 million for Stellantis in 2022. As the Free Press recently noted, they weren't even the highest payout to an individual last year at the companies. The honor appears to go to Mike Manley, the former head of Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, who pocketed $54.1 million as part of an agreement inked before the 2021 merger that created Stellantis from FCA and Puget maker PSA Group. But yet, according to Nikki Haley, it's the workers who are being a little bit too greedy, asking for a bit too much when these companies were so kind to offer them 20%. Except that 40% pay increase that the union is asking for is in line with the 40% pay increase that the CEOs got. They're simply asking for their pay to rise at the same percent as their CEO's salary did.
Right. Because if you have enough money to provide the CEO with a 40% raise, when the CEO doesn't really produce the value of the company, the CEO, in comparison to the worker, the worker is what gives Stellantis and Ford and GM their value. Without the workers, there is no company. Period. Full stop. End of story. Without workers, without their labor, that company cannot run. It doesn't exist. It cannot function. So yeah, they're worth more than the CEOs, in my opinion, because they're the ones that create all the value.
But Nikki Haley thinks they're being too unreasonable and it's going to cost the taxpayers. No, it's not. It's going to cost the company, and it should. If your employees make you profits and that profit goes higher and higher each year, why should they not be allowed the same pay increase that the CEO gets? It's just, it's shocking that she would say this on national television. This is such a scandalous thing to say that I think it's worse than Mitt Romney's 47 or 48% comment that he said behind closed doors. But Nikki Haley is so out of touch that she's saying this out in the open. Now, to his credit, Neil Cavuto, who was interviewing her, actually brought up this level of greed from CEOs, but rather than addressing it, she goes on to proudly admit that she's a union buster. I'm not making this up.
Oh man, no way. And by the way, the only reason this is the only reason this is important to even bring up is because both Tim Scott and Nikki Haley are running for the nomination to be the Republican candidate for president. Okay?
This president clearly does prioritize union jobs. And
that's a good thing. And
he's made very clear here that union workers deserve more, that their pay increases have not come close to the success and the money that all of these auto companies have enjoyed. What do you say to that?
Well, I'll tell you, in South Carolina as governor, I mean, we were building planes with Boeing. We were building more BMWs than any place in the world. I recruited Mercedes-Benz. I recruited Volvo. We had 5 international tire companies. But I was a union buster. I didn't want to bring in companies that were unionized simply because I didn't want to have that change the environment in our state.
Well, Neil, don't want to say anything about corporate greed, but I will tell you this. I'm a union buster.
Jesus Christ. Oh man, I mean, that's about as explicit as it gets, right? I mean, you can't. There's no euphemism. There's no mask. There's no dancing around, twisting yourself into pretzels to try to make it sound nice. Nope, just straight up labor. No, we don't do labor here. I hate labor. I have a reality show idea. CEOs live on the income of their lowest paid employee. Yeah, but without any access to any of their goodies or anything like that. All they have is the pay of their minimum, the lowest paid employee. That's it.
Straight from the horse's mouth. Unbelievable. Now, the reason why she is a union buster is pretty obvious. It's because her corporate donors know that collective bargaining inhibits their ability to further exploit their workers, and she is operating at their behest, not the behest of the people who she wants to represent. So, I mean, the attacks write themselves. She's calling Joe Biden pro-union while simultaneously calling herself a union buster. It's just incredible to see. But if you keep watching, Nikki Haley goes on to pretend to care about workers' rights, but she uses anti-union talking points straight from corporations, predictably, to make it seem as if workers are actually better off without unions. Which,
yeah, like if your workplace is like using words like family and like, oh yeah, you know, you don't need a union. Yeah, you probably do. For at least 2 months, Nikki Haley for the workers as long as they stay silent and are on food stamps, right, and don't unionize. No collective power for workers.
Which is obviously not true. But if that were the case, don't you think that these corporations wouldn't be fighting so vociferously against unions? But I mean, the point is that she at least pretends that she cares about the workers. There's at least that level of self-awareness there. When it comes to Tim Scott, however, his answer was much more blunt. Fuck the workers. Listen.
I think Ronald Reagan gave us a great example when federal employees decided they were going to.
I mean, like, if your initial statement starts with, I think Ronald Reagan gave us a great... Stop right there, okay? Let me stop you right there. No. Okay? If your, like, initial, like, statement starts with, I think Ronald Reagan gave us a great anything, yeah, no, nope. I don't need to hear anything else coming from this guy's mouth at that point.
Strike. Either you strike, you're fired. Simple concept to me. To the extent that we could use that once again, absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't get any more clear than that. There's nothing that I can say to add to that. He's just saying what he thinks. And what he thinks is that these workers shouldn't be allowed to demand better pay, better treatment. Just fire them. Fuck them. Unbelievable. Now, in a different...
Yep, 100%. And mind you, like, another point worth noting is that this isn't just like Tim Scott or Nikki Haley. This is a pretty, like, prevalent Republican belief, right? Like, the fact that Tim Scott went back, you know, and invoked Reagan and thought that this was a good thing and sought to paint it as a positive. I mean, like, that tells you everything you need to know, like, where the Republican Party lies when it comes to labor, right? Hey, cheeseburger freedom eagle, we can just full stop at Reagan. True. The U.S. does not need pretend unions, VA, or pretend health care or social security checks from the GOP or MAGA. I wonder how much Haley is getting from Walmart, a company that literally undertimes workers to get out of medical benefits. 100%, and a good portion of Walmart employees are on food stamps. I don't know what the percentage is now, but it was a pretty high percentage. Full-time employees on freaking food stamps.
Event, he actually suggested with a straight face that this whole thing, it's not really about better compensation and better working conditions. The workers are just lazy. That's what he actually insinuated.
And we're watching today on every screen around the country, we're seeing the UAW fight for more benefits and less hours working, more pay and fewer days on the job. It's a disconnect from work, and we have to find a way to encourage and inspire people to go back to work.
Yeah, let me stop you right there.
This is a camera.
Let me stop you right there. The only thing that, like, inspires people to work, unless you work like in a like very hyper specific thing, is normally your ability to, I don't know, pay living expenses. Okay. That's pretty much where it begins and ends. If your job cannot pay you enough for you to have a roof over your head, food, like all the cost of living covered, then like, I'll be honest, there is no incentive. What else is there? If your job that you work as a full-time employee cannot get you food, housing, education, like everything that you need, just kind of all bottled into the cost of living. If it cannot provide for that, what is the point? What is the point? Tim Scott is about as effective as Herman Cain. From Fox News, Business, Walmart ranked among the top 4 largest employees of SNAP and Medicaid benefits in the state whose data was included in the report, employing an estimated 14,500 workers who received food stamps, according to the GAO's report. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that that it's a nice percentage. That's embarrassing. You have 14,500 workers who you underpay so much that they need food stamps to sell your label to capitalism is the point. Yeah, but like from the capitalist point of view, from the capitalism point of view, if selling my labor sorry folks, if selling my labor doesn't get me a roof over my head and food, then why am I even entertaining this? Like, why are we having this this conversation, right? Like, why are we having this exchange? It's not a fair exchange. If the whole point of capitalism is for me to sell my labor, then like I got to get something, right? I got to get enough to have food and housing. Like that was the point. That was the selling point of capitalism, right? You sell, listen, not everybody can be a capitalist and not everybody can, whatever. But if you sell your labor, then you don't have to worry about like the other stuff, right? If you sell your labor, all you're doing is selling your time and we give you compensation for that. But if that compensation does fuck all for me, then why are we even participating in this system? Furthermore, like that's a bit fucking coercive, don't you think? You're telling me that like even at the point of working for a full-time job, I still have at any given point the ability to just become homeless? Like there may be an instance where I can't buy food? What? Is the U.S. a great country if everyone stays poor? No, the U.S. isn't. The U.S. isn't like all that in a bag of chips. I think the most insulting thing in the UK version of Walmart called Asda was that instead of giving staff Christmas bonuses, the public bought items in store and left them in the big box at the entrance, like donations.
The real problem. It's not that these workers are being overworked and underpaid. It's that they're lazy and they want to get paid more for less work. Now, it's incredibly ironic for him to say that, considering that senators are only scheduled to meet for 154 days this year, as Parker Malloy points out. But I mean, this goes back to them being out of touch. You can lie to the American people about a lot of things, and we are heavily propagandized and brainwashed. But one thing that you can't lie to them about is their own lives, right? You can't convince them that they don't work hard enough or that they're fairly compensated, right? And that their employers are treating them well. They can see that that's demonstrably untrue. So you can't lie to them about that. So by trying to pretend as if that is indeed the case when it's not, you're only hurting your own campaign. And for the first time in our generation, workers are finally standing up and taking their power back, while Republicans are trying to dismantle the rights that the last generation fought for and won. An example is child child labor laws. As more and more workers demand rights, Republican-led states are responding by bringing back child labor because obviously kids are easier to exploit. So why wouldn't they do that?
Right, you gotta get them younger in the capitalist hamster wheel, right? It's from a corporation that made $60 billion in 2022. Jesus.
That's what they think about you. That's how they respond. Rather than paying you fairly, they'd rather allow these corporations to hire your children so they can exploit your kids, because your kids aren't really going to think about fair pay or compensation. Pay them, I don't know, $8-10 an hour, and they're going to think this is awesome. It's wild. It couldn't be more clear where this party stands. They're with the corporate CEOs and the bosses, and they're actively trying to squash labor movements. They're against you, and they're telling you that. And to be clear, I do think that when it comes to the Biden administration, he should be doing more. He's done a lot, but there's always more to do. I think that he should have fought harder for the PRO Act. He does need to join UAW workers on the picket line for sure. And I think that him shutting down the railroad worker strike will be a stain on his legacy forever. It was embarrassing. It was horrible. But having said that, though, he has absolutely made a positive difference. And I think that that's undeniable at this point. And of all...
Well, I mean, I think that the most impactful thing that he's done is the people that he's appointed in the NLRB. That's where most of the work has been. Whether or not like Biden himself is very pro-worker, I don't know, but at least the people that he's appointed into very important positions like the NLRB have been making good changes. So there is that. Donald Trump appears to be violating federal law by purchasing a Glock semi-automatic handgun in South Carolina, something he's legally barred from doing because of his federal indictment. Really? If you're under federal indictment, you can't purchase a firearm? And like, do we know that if he actually bought the firearm? Because like, I think you would just like, if it's on video, then like, it's a done deal, right? Unless we know, like, for sure that he actually bought the firearm, then, like, I don't know. Link to what? According to Matt Walsh, people shouldn't have vote. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Thinking Sabercat. We'll get to that. We'll get to him in a second. Correct. No, you're not allowed to buy a firearm if you're under indictment. I didn't know that. Oh, the Trump story. Okay, yeah. If you want to post a tweet link, hold on. Trump buys firearm South Carolina? Question mark. So far it says like it's all rumors. Most of the articles are saying I want to buy one, but yeah, there's no confirmation. Yeah, there's no confirmation as to whether he bought one or not, because like that would literally be violating federal law. Yeah, there's nothing here that says that he actually bought a firearm or not. Multiple quotes are saying that he wants one, that I've got to buy one, but nothing here indicates that he that he actually bought one. From CNBC, Trump campaign walked back to claim that former President Trump bought a Glock handgun in South Carolina since the lead vote. Yeah, this is what we're reading. So yeah, we don't know if he actually bought one, because that would be really bad. Anyways.
People, Ben Shapiro correctly explained why the Biden administration has been so effective. It all comes down to the NLRB.
Maybe part of that is because you actually appointed a union man head of your labor.
Oh, shit! Hey, Heat, how's it going? He actually appointed a former union person to the head of the NLRB. I should have done more research on this, but damn. Damn. I was gonna go over Ben Shapiro's video.
A fascist.
Whoa, Jesus. Ben Shapiro's video about the United Auto Workers strike, because I'm pretty sure he's like misrepresenting and lying about the entire thing. I'm pretty sure, like it's pretty the shocking reality of wokeism. Okay, anyways, but I found that they would be an exercise in futility, so I just didn't end up doing that.
Labor Department and your National Labor Relations Board, an absolute Frankensteinian monster in terms of its pathetic effect on the American government, the NLRB. It's a disgrace to American government. We abide by all rules and regulations of the NLRB. I have to say that every time, because literally one time I made a joke and they sent us a threat letter. This is what they do for a living. They just threaten businesses that are not in violation of the law. Workers, according to Politico.
Is that true? Is that true, Ben?
Armed with the power of a tight labor market and at times angered by how employers treated them during the pandemic, have organized with new energy from Hollywood to UPS to Starbucks. There's only one problem. The money ain't there to go around. You can pretend it is, but it ain't.
Who believes this? Who actually buys that load of horseshit? See, this shill says...
I mean, like, the cool kid's philosopher. Yeah, a lot of people buy this, unfortunately. A lot of people. Like, the only reason, like, we end up paying attention to people like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh is because they reach such a freaking large audience, and a large number of people think that they are correct, and a large number of people feel like they are speaking truth, and, like, they get a lot of undeserved attention. And here we are. Whispers. Oh, the Trump gun store? Oh, okay.
Decisions made here, in this room, are private, personal, and should be made.
What?
That's fantastic. It's doing well. Well, now it's going to do better. Look at all these people. They've done a fantastic job. Fantastic job. Incredible people. People of South Carolina, incredible people. And thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
I'm an RM Brown patron, so I get all the Matt Walsh hot takes usually with.
We sell about half what we sell is ours, and
Usually with the Yoko Ono noise.
probably HK. In my opinion.
What is HK?
HK. Do we have any HK guns?
We do. Yes, sir. Right on the soil.
HK is a German. To me, German engineering. I mean, American engineering is important and safe, but German engineering firearms are
Bro, doesn't Trump play Call of Duty? An HK is like the MP5.
Thank you. This is Patrick. He's one of the original employees from a decade ago. Been with us. Yes, sir.
And he's holding up well.
I'm doing all right. Yes, sir.
Well, you're under siege in this world, right?
No doubt.
But with me, you're not under siege. We
No
kept
doubt.
it perfect.
Since you've left, the Biden administration's been terrible for the
Well, they're
industry.
doing it on ammunition.
Ammunition, the pistol brace issue, but when you're back in, we need a little help on that. So, pistol brace.
We didn't do anything.
No, absolutely. We loved when you
Pistol
were
brace
at.
a big deal. Is that a big thing?
It's okay. There's 40 million
Conscious Canuck with a tier 1 subscription. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
firearms owners that are felons now under Biden's pistol brace rule.
What is that exactly?
Okay, I have one. I don't know if we can get it. So
Wasn't Trump the one dude who did like a whole bunch of like firearm regulations? Trump banned Trump tried to ban the bump stocks, which turned like this is the same argument. Like, Trump literally did the same thing. The Trump administration attempted to ban bump stocks, which would have made all these people felons who own bump stocks. Like, okay, he's a spouse abuser too. Who, Trump? Yeah.
During about a decade ago, the ATF approved is a pistol brace attachment you put on a handgun. And during your administration, they said sold close to 40 million of them. People bought them, it's just a pistol. Biden came in, one of the first things he did was he made all those people felons. And right now we're fighting.
Well, no, the ATF did. Anyways, give Trump, who tweets too much, a gun. Well, he shouldn't own one because he's currently under indictment, a federal indictment. Canada should be ashamed, not for the SS thing, but for Ryan's Babe. That movie's a crime against humanity. Well, I mean, I think they should be ashamed for having an SS officer speak in Parliament. Yeah, I think that's pretty bad. Who at Oprah GX pissed off Twitch enough to ban the whole effing browser platform? What? Really? Rip.
Fighting in the court, the Fifth Circuit, the Eighth Circuit.
We'll take care of it. It's ridiculous.
I have one.
You have one?
Yeah, and
Marjorie
my
Taylor
mom
Greene.
has one, and it helps her. She's able.
Yeah, I have one. Wouldn't that? Okay.
Right.
Hold it, so it's good.
So,
Isn't it ridiculous?
So not worried about inner city crime, all that problem,
Right.
but regular, average, solid-earth Americans, they gotta make them criminals.
Okay, we'll take
Yikes. What does that mean?
care of it. Okay. We'll take care of it. That's an easy one. Great stuff.
So we have a couple of guns that we actually made here in South Carolina that we
Go
can
ahead,
show you.
let me see, yeah.
They're right down here. I
Let me
don't know if we need to take them.
No, I'll get out of the way so y'all can show the
Hey,
president.
Julian, you make sure you're taking some pictures.
We got plenty of pictures being taken right now.
Oh, I like that one.
We thought you might like that.
Do you want to see it? Can we
Yeah,
get
I
a picture
do.
of people
I'd
doing
like
that?
to see it.
I would love to get a picture
I
of
do want to see that.
All right.
Wow, that's something, huh? Who did that? Is it made by you?
That one's not.
Okay, can you take this picture?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
You wonder what Congress people can do.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Fantastic.
When you asked which was the highest quality gun, sir, it's this one.
What is the quality of this gun?
That's a Glock. Glock actually did that, and these are actually great sellers for us. We sell.
Can you sell with the picture?
We do. It comes exactly like this from Glock.
Wow. Good. And they sell well, huh?
sell
They like
very
me.
well.
Of course.
They like you.
I gotta buy one. I want to buy one.
Sir, if you want one, this one.
No, I want to buy one. I want to
Anyways, yeah, that's the video of him saying he wants to buy one. He cannot. Okay, he can legally not.
Is that because his advertisers and funders want him to? But everybody knows that it's intuitively and demonstrably untrue. Income and wealth inequality is one of the biggest issues of our generation. And CEOs are getting paid tens of millions of dollars every single year, buying mansions, buying yachts, buying politicians. But Ben Shapiro has the audacity to claim that the money just ain't there. Well, for some reason, it's there when it comes to stock buybacks and the salaries of CEOs and bonuses for CEOs.
Right, like somehow it's there to pay like $29 million. $29 million? Nah.
But when workers ask for a reasonable raise, well, the money just isn't there, according to Ben Shapiro. I mean, why would you listen to him? To listen to Ben Shapiro if you are a working class citizen means that you are willingly letting him gaslight you and lie to you about your own life. It's ridiculous. And this person purports to speak for a large portion of the population. It's so ridiculous to me. But there is one thing that he's right about, and that is the effect that the NLRB has made or has had on this entire labor movement. And what the NLRB has demonstrated is that even if a president is dealing with a divided Congress and can't pass things that are pro-worker using legislation, all you have to do is appoint someone as the head of the NLRB at the National Labor Relations Board will make a huge, profound difference on the labor movement. We're seeing it right now. It's undeniable. But I mean, remember, at the beginning of this video, I said that there are two types of Republicans, and we've only heard from the vocally anti-labor ones at this point. But there is an increasingly large number of Republicans who know to not be openly antagonistic towards labor because politically that's just not going to do much for them. In fact, it's going to hurt them. As Adam Johnson of Truth Out explains, Senator Josh Hawley triumphantly announced in November 2020 that Republicans are a working class party now. That's the future.
Yeah, they were never working. Like, they were especially from the Reagan era on. Like, it is undeniable that at no point is the Republican Party a specifically pro-worker party. That's just not a thing. You see the Crimea Bridge is busting out the Black Sea Navy attack, and soon Ukraine will be deploying them on tanks and drone torpedoes. Yeah, the war is still happening. The war is still happening.
Senator Tom Cotton has repeatedly heralded the Republican Party as the most likely space for a working-class, multi-ethnic party to converge.
Wrong.
Senator Marco Rubio has been auctioning off this talking point to any credulous or complicit media platform that will give him airtime. Senator Ted Cruz said in 2021 that the most significant political change of the last decade has been that the heart and soul of the Republican Party, we are the working-class party now. We
are a working-class party now. So you weren't previously? Question mark? No, it's a flat out lie.
Are a blue-collar party. He continues, but here's the problem. The supposed working-class warriors who have been suspiciously silent. Senator Tom Cotton and Senator Ted Cruz haven't mentioned the strike at all. But what about the Republicans who have issued statements on the strike? All of them, quote, support it as an abstract thing in their head, yet they are throwing their backing behind a version of the strike that doesn't exist, and they offer no support for the actual demands of the strikers or the duly elected representatives of the UAW membership. And this is what that looks like. So here's a couple of tweets from Marco Rubio and Josh Hawley, and as you can see, they're pretending like the workers are striking specifically because of Biden's, quote, radical climate agenda.
No. Okay, like, this is how, like, you know that these people never decided to speak to any of these workers at all. Because if they did, they would know. Because they said so. In their demands, there's no demands about, like, we need to protect our jobs because of a radical climate agenda. None of that is even mentioned. None of that's mentioned in their demands. Their demands are mostly to have the same wage increase, the same percentage increase as the CEO, and to eliminate the tier system where the newer workers that don't have the same contract benefits as the more older workers, they're doing the same exact job. Sometimes even they even work more hours, and yet they still don't get paid as much for doing the exact same job and taking on more hours, and they're not getting paid the same. That's the issue.
Agenda, and that's really what's destroying the auto industry. And Josh Hawley here is pretending, as you can see, that the climate mandates are hurting workers and threatening their jobs, and that's why they're so angry. So on one hand, you can see that they know it's bad to be openly hostile towards the labor movement. That's not going to help them politically. But the problem is that people are way, way smarter than that. They can see that you're being disingenuous. Now, is it more politically savvy than just saying that the workers should be fired and that you're pro-union buster? Sure. There's a reason why even the most anti-union governors and Republicans don't say that they're anti-union. They say they support right to work, which is a policy that would dismantle unions. It's because they know that Americans, by and large, are pro-labor and pro-union. But the workers themselves are telling you what they want. And even if the CEOs came out and said, oh, it's definitely Biden's climate agenda, that's what's hurting our workers, and we care about our workers. The question there is, well, why would these CEOs not take a pay cut themselves? Why push the cost or the supposed cost of Biden's radical climate policies onto workers? Even if you go with their twisted version of what's happening, their mental gymnastics, it still doesn't make sense. There's just no winning for them here. And that's true for Donald Trump as well.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. They're literally just fabricating, like, reality. It just doesn't exist. At no point have any of these workers stated that Biden's radical climate agenda had anything to do with the strikes. Nothing. At no point was that ever mentioned. There are Republicans reps who have more than 2 brain cells to rub together? No, apparently not.
He's now signaling support for workers, and a spokesperson for him said that he's on the side of auto workers, and he's always stood with the auto workers, and he actually plans to give a speech in Detroit, conspicuously during the next GOP debate. I wonder if there's any ulterior motives here. But the problem is that it's too late for that. UAW President Shawn Fain isn't letting him feign concern for workers, considering the fact that when he was president, he fucked them over. In response, Shawn Fain said every fiber of our union is being poured into fighting the billionaire class and an economy that enriches people like Donald Trump at the expense of workers, Fain said in a statement to CNN. We can't keep electing billionaires and millionaires that don't have any understanding what it is like to live paycheck to paycheck and struggle to get by, and expecting them to solve the problems of the working class, he added. Exactly. And even if Shawn Fain didn't humiliate him, the fact that he's not joining the picket line directly and giving his speech there to striking workers tells you everything that you need to know. Why wouldn't he show up? Well, it's because they'd probably heckle him, considering he made their lives worse. He made moves to fuck over workers, not help them. So he can pretend that he cares about the workers, but actions speak louder than words. He betted against labor, and he lost, and now his pandering just rings hollow, and even he knows that. CBS News explains,
True. That guy's based. Shawn Fain is based. Shawn Fain is based.
when former President Donald Trump visits Detroit next week, he'll be looking to blunt criticisms from a United Auto Workers Union leadership that has said a second term for him would be a disaster for workers. In 2017, the Trump-era board reversed the decision, holding employers responsible for labor violations by subcontractors or franchisees. In 2019, the board gave a boost to companies that use contract labor, such as Lyft and Uber, by emphasizing entrepreneurial opportunity in determining a worker's employment status, making organizing harder. Mark McManus, president of the Plumbers and Pipefitters Union, said in a statement Tuesday that Trump tried to gut the Labor Relations Board under his administration to undo the safeguards that protect working families. Michigan AFL-CIO President Ron Bieber told the Associated Press in an emailed statement that the board, referring to the NLRB under Trump, was stacked with anti-worker appointees who trampled on collective bargaining rights. The union leaders also point to unfavorable U.S. Supreme Court rulings under a conservative majority that grew during Trump's term. The nation's high court has dealt a number of blows to unions, most recently ruling against unionized drivers who walked off the job with their trucks full of wet cement, allowing a civil suit against them to go forward. In 2018, the court's conservative majority overturned a decades-old pro-union decision involving fees paid by government workers. The justices in 20...
Yeah, and like all of this happened under all of this happened because of Trump. Space Monkey, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. He's actually trying to get a group of Trump supporters together who happen to be union workers. True.
2021 rejected a California regulation giving unions access to farm property so they could organize workers. And we're not even scratching the surface. There's a lot more there, but the point is, Trump went after labor. And when you go after labor, there's just no coming back from that. They're not going to let you exploit their strike for political purposes because they can see right through you. They know that you're full of shit. And the labor movement is stronger than it's been in a very long time. And unfortunately for Republicans, this is probably only the beginning, because negotiations between airline companies and flight attendants aren't going anywhere, and negotiations between healthcare workers and Kaiser Permanente have also stalled, which means that 2 more strikes could be imminent. That would add tens of thousands of additional workers to the growing number of workers already on strike. And this momentum is incredibly exciting, and it makes me optimistic for the first time in a very long time. But for Republicans, this is going to make them feel even more uncomfortable because they're forced to continue to find ways to spin this as a negative or find a way to signal support without actually addressing the demands or underlying corporate greed that is driving these workers to strike. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a smart move for Biden to hype himself up as a pro-union president, even if sometimes he does miss the mark, because he knows at least that this is an issue that is very difficult to obscure or propagandize. And Republicans are certainly going to try. But the problem is that you just can't convince Americans that they're the ones who are getting paid fairly or they're the ones who are lazy while their millionaire bosses
True. They all know Trump is full of it, yet they still vote for this fraud stuff, just like him trashing the military vets and POWs, yet there's tons of vets who still voted for him. Yeah, I mean, and who probably will still vote there. Unfortunately, when you're in a cult, it is what it is.
Continue to treat them like shit and exploit them. And that's not me saying that. That's what the polling shows. So Republicans fucked around by siding against unions, and now they're finding out.
Do yourself a favor.
Paste. All right. Let's take a little quick update here for these Trump cases.
In a filing this past Friday, prosecutors with the New York Attorney General's office revealed some significantly damning evidence that they have against the Trump Organization as the trial against Donald Trump, his 2 adult male children, and of course, the organization itself moves forward. It's set to begin at the beginning of October. This new evidence alleges that the Trump Organization, in order to secure insurance, in order to secure loans from banks, turned over financial statements to these institutions, showing them, look at all of these business transactions we have. We're doing so great. We're selling stuff. We're having people sell us stuff. All of it's right here on these lists. You can see money is going from one institution to the other because we're doing so great business. Turns out they weren't actually doing business. Oh, they didn't fabricate the transactions. No. What they did was they were just moving money through different entities that the Trump Organization owned. So they weren't real business transactions. It was just, let's take this money, put it over here. It'll look like we bought something. We put this back over here. It looks like we sold something. Look at all the business. Holy crap, they were playing shell games with their money in order to dupe the banks into giving them more money, because the banks look at it like, holy crap, yeah, you guys are doing really good business here. We'd love to be in business with you. And then they give them the big loan. Again, allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, surprise, surprise, question mark. My favorite court decision against the worker was a decision that the trucker was required to stay in the and freeze to death with his vehicle rather than seek shelter. Yeah, nope, not me. Sounds like how NFT pumped up their value. Exactly. Exactly, actually. Yeah. Welcome to Simulacra.
This is what the New York Attorney General's office is alleging the Trump Organization did. And if they can prove it in court, holy crap. This is huge. Like, this is fraud that's even worse than what we had thought. This isn't just the Trump Organization, scratching out one number and making it even higher to show a bank like, oh, we're worth this much. Don't worry about that one. We're actually worth this much. No. They were actively engaging in fraud. They weren't just changing numbers on a single document and handing it to the banks and the insurance companies. No, they were actively having to do these activities to pretend to show that they had all this business. So not only could this be used to prove fraud, but just for Donald Trump's ego, this also, if true, proves that this guy is not the businessman that he says he is. If the only way he can secure funding for his company is to pretend that they're actually out there doing business, doesn't that mean that the company's probably kind of dying? You shouldn't have to cook the books and show that, yeah, oh, we sold 10 cheeseburgers here. No, you didn't sell any. I know they don't sell cheeseburgers. They might have better luck if they did, though.
True.
But that's what we're dealing with. That's what prosecutors...
True. Trump would just buy them. Can't Trump still be president if he's indicted? We'll get to that bridge if we get there. There's a lot of gray area, but technically, even if he was indicted and convicted, I think technically he can still be president. But yeah, it's there's no law saying he can't from what I've seen. Yeah, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, if we do.
Revealed this past Friday. This is going to be a hell of a trial. Ring of Fire has fresh content 7 days a week, so if you want to be reminded about it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell to be notified.
Depends on the charge, yep. Unless it's for treason or insurrection or something. Right, which I believe none of that is what he's being charged for. Hold on, folks. All right. Yeah, content warning, folks. Matt Walsh, so on and so forth. This is pretty freaking disturbing. Can I show you something cool? It depends on what something cool is. Oh, well, before we get started, I know that somebody sent me this. 53 seconds will...
I've talked with parents. Their kids, some of them adult children, have been ensnared with this LGBTQ cult, and they've cut them off. You are in a cult, and in the name of Jesus Christ, I stand against this devil of hell, this LGBTQ cult in our country. I command you in the name of Jesus to be thrown down and loose the people of this country. Let go of their minds. Let go of their families. Let go of our reins of government in this nation. You will not drag us into your pit.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Where are the angles? There's a cult, apparently. This is based and is no more fascistic than Norway or South Korea, where we're fine with civic tests or civics participation. You wouldn't want a democracy for any complex decision-making tasks like heart surgery. If you don't know what tax policy works for a watershed easement, maybe don't vote on taxes. Nah, fuck off. Jesus. Right when Watch, Jesus did not say anything like that. Well, I mean, the Bible does have a lot of cringe. They didn't just make, They didn't just get this out of nowhere. Anyways, the correct answer would be we should have more education and have more civics classes. Fine. But to then say like, oh, maybe some people shouldn't vote. Nah, fuck off. Fuck off. Anyways, the Old Testament does, but Jesus did not say that. Anyways. Trigger warning, Matt Walsh. Yeah.
These people should not be allowed to vote. I mean, you hear people say that in a half-joking way. Oh, I can't believe these people can vote. But really, they shouldn't be able to. Like, actually, they should not be able to vote.
And like, who are these people? He's talking about anybody who doesn't agree with him. Fundamentally, that's what it's about. Like, you can try to like package it, and you can try to pretend and play, you know, mental gymnastics and twist yourself into pretzels. But reality is, what he actually means is that he doesn't want people who disagree with him voting. That's it. That's what it is. Yeah, if you're DMing people, that's an insta ban. I see you already took care of it. Yeah, all right. Yep. Fuck off. Yep. If you're DMing people and you're DMing mods, nah, fuck off.
That should be something that that becomes a serious topic of conversation. Okay, like the kind of thing that comes up at presidential debates. Okay, like an issue that political parties have to deal with in their platforms. We should really be talking about this.
No, we shouldn't, Matt. Damn, they just say it now, they being Gen Z? What? Can you expand on that one?
That there are a lot of people who are voting in this country who should not have that right. They don't deserve it.
So that's an immediate red flag. Who do not have that right, or who should not have that right, and because they don't deserve it. If you're a citizen of the United States and you are 18 years of age and older, then you should have the right to vote. Because the whole point, allegedly, the whole point is that we all live here and we are all citizens here. So then therefore we should all have a say in how we cast votes. In this case, how we cast votes for who's going to represent us. And sometimes, in some cases, directly cast votes into things that might impact them, whether it be at the state level, like for example, direct ballot initiatives or direct changes to the state's amendments or state's constitution, I should say. Things like that. We all live here, and therefore we all have a voice as to how, theoretically, how, you know, we want to govern ourselves, right? On paper, that's how it should work. Those who should not have the right to vote seem to me that they're targeting Gen Z. They're targeting anybody that doesn't agree with this Christo-fascist. That's it. This theocratic fascist. That's what he means. That may be Gen Z. That may be minorities. Anybody who doesn't agree with him should not be able to vote.
And as I've tried to explain many times, the right to vote, it is not a God-given right guaranteed to everybody regardless of anything.
It should be. Why? It should be. Wait. Why not? If you're 18 and you're a citizen of the United States, why not? That's pretty disturbing.
It's not. Okay, it's not fundamental to your human nature that you automatically are entitled to have
but being engaged in the political process, then wait, so you're saying that it doesn't affect you? Question mark. Being involved in the political process absolutely has ramifications for how things go for you. What are you talking about? Being engaged in a political process, like casting votes that ultimately end in like somebody winning, like a Democrat or a Republican, who passes legislation, which affects you directly. Yeah, it does fundamentally impact you as a human being. What are you talking about?
entitled to have a say, automatically are entitled. It's not fundamental to your human nature.
It's fundamental, absolutely, because the decisions that these politicians make or don't make absolutely affect me and possibly my existence. A legislation can be passed that can completely upend people's lives, and that's happened. And to say that they don't fundamentally have the right to at least cast a vote and have their say in it, what are you on about? Then that cult shouldn't have the right to vote, in my humble opinion. Same. It's a right we demand as citizens. He's such a tool. He wants only white landholding gentlemen voting. Right, just like our founding fathers wanted it.
You automatically are entitled to have a say over the political system in your country.
But you should if you live there and are a citizen there, right? Right? Because if you don't, then Matt, what you're saying is that you fundamentally don't believe in democracy, and you loathe and bemoan the idea that people, everyday people, would have a say. That's what you're saying. So when I make the argument that the Republican Party is fundamentally incompatible with democracy, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. I bet you his Taylor Swift voter registration is driving him crazy. Probably. How's it going, Sharpie Diesel? Matt Walsh believes in the democracy of those who think like him. Correct. It's correct, and do not get started on the 2025 project. Yep.
It's not. There are some basic guidelines that should be in place. You should have to earn that right. Not everybody should have it. And it is so incredibly obvious that if you are an absolute oblivious moron who knows nothing about your own country.
Oh boy. Hey, here's a question. How many conservatives would pass the Matt Walsh test that he's proposing? Matt being kind of hard on himself there. Yeah, that's kind of where I was heading. How many conservatives would pass those metrics that he supposedly thinks that are good, that are necessary, I should say? You know what? I'd wager that a lot of conservatives under Matt Walsh's universe would lose would lose the right to vote. A lot of conservatives would lose the right to vote because guaranteed they would not pass the basic civics course.
Or the political, or the government that runs it, then you shouldn't have any say over it.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. Make this test and then have conservatives have all these like Trumpers fucking try to pass that. I really want to hear a detailed analysis of how the government works from a conservative, from a Trumper. I really want to hear that. I really want to hear just how knowledgeable just how knowledgeable it's just how knowledgeable the Trumpers are and how the government works, and then come back to me about whether or not these people should be allowed to vote. Here we go. Only educated should vote, but where's the money for education? Right, because it's not about that. It's very clear what he actually means. Is that people who don't agree with him are the people who shouldn't be allowed to vote, because that's what it is. Because you know damn well that a lot of these people don't know how the fuck the government works. Matt Walsh doesn't have he's demonstrated, in fact, that he actually in a lot of times he doesn't know how the fuck this thing works, how the government works. He doesn't know how taxes works, and I mean, does that mean by Matt Walsh's own standards he shouldn't be allowed to vote? No, of course not. He just means, with extra steps, people that don't agree with him shouldn't be allowed to vote. That's it. That's what it comes down to. First rule of a fanatic: when you're obsessed with the enemy, you become the enemy. True. I mean, everything aside here, this is incredibly disturbing. This is incredibly disturbing. The fact that he's out here, saying that only certain
these
people
should not be allowed to vote. I mean,
shouldn't be
you hear
allowed
people
to vote is a pretty big red flag. And of course, naturally the comments go to your local harm and look around. Should all these people vote? Yeah. Holy based, says a blue check mark. Nice, says another blue check mark. Absolutely based and correct, says another blue check mark. Absolutely agree. Yeah. What about speaking? Who should be allowed to speak, Matt? Only people like him. That's it. So, yeah, he doesn't believe in, democracy. He doesn't believe in free speech. None of that. He doesn't actually care about any of those things. And they are basically tools. So as long as his side wins elections, then it's fine. And he's cool with it until they become obstacles. Then immediately he will ditch that. He will ditch the concept of democracy. He will ditch the concept of free speech and any of that at the drop of a hat. He doesn't care about any of that. If this isn't raising any red flags, I don't know. I don't know what will. And like the idea that you should put this this barrier up is ridiculous. But make no mistake, this is what this is exactly what they want. Both sides of the parties are exactly the same, two different heads, but it's the same snake. Yeah, no, not really. No, not really. Clearly, we have one side literally saying that certain people shouldn't vote. But yeah, go ahead. Talk to me about how the both sides, bullshit. Yeah, Lamau. No, no, just no. One side is like unequivocally and blatantly fascistic, and the other side is like cringy ass neolibs. All right. And like, why is that the response to Matt Walsh literally saying? Why is that the comment in the context of like Matt Walsh literally saying some certain people shouldn't be allowed to vote, and we should have the ability to revoke people's right to vote? That's kind of strange that's the comment that you felt the need to type out. You do realize that you have like a second before you press enter to actually like rethink those comments and then type out. One party throws in cages, but both are the same, so convincing. True. If you think either party cares about you, clear mistaken. I never said that. That's a completely separate fucking comment. I never said the Democratic Party is here and they're your friends. I've never said that. But to say that they're both equally bad or to equivocate them by saying they're exactly the same is it's just wrong. You're just wrong. It's more of an excuse to vote GOP because most people who are informed know the fundamental differences between the parties. Correct. I've never made an excuse for the Democratic Party. So at that point, you're just clearly making assumptions and you're clearly putting words in my mouth. No, not my opinion. These are just facts. You're just wrong. You're just wrong. The Ouroboros of the GOP can eat itself over yonder and let the non-death cult citizens go on and live their lives in peace. True. One will let you die and one wants to kill you. I mean, yeah. But one will at least pretend, and sometimes on occasion, actually do something good. Facts aren't opinions. Good thing I'm not just, well, opinions can be based on facts, first of all. And second of all, you have yet to make any type of argument that's countering my claims. Anyways. Like, to say that both of them are the same, it's just incorrect. It's just not right. It's just not true, I should say. Anyways. Fox founder Rupert Murdoch steps down from his media empire, handing it down to his son. I'm not segueing, just making a statement, but you're wrong. And why would you make that statement in the context of Matt Walsh literally making an argument that certain people shouldn't be allowed to vote? What are you talking about? This makes absolutely no sense. What compelled you? What made you feel the need to type that comment out in the context of this far right person literally making the argument, saying like, "Oh, we should take away the right to vote." Oh, some people should be allowed to vote. Gotcha. Fuck off. Oh, well, that made it simple. Thank you. Cool. That made it simple. Some people just shouldn't be allowed to vote. Cool. Fuck off. That made it so much easier. Incredible stuff. How you're actually making arguments for a more inclusive and more expansive democracy, and like these people decide to come out of the woodwork and show their behinds. Phenomenal stuff, folks. I mean, like, I know it's the comments speak for themselves, right? These people, these fucking like right-wing conservative lunatics, I don't have to make any arguments. You can see it firsthand as to how these people bemoan the idea of a democratic process. Like, it's on display in real time. In real time, they decide to prove me right. Fundamental difference between the two parties. One wants to increase your voter access and one wants to limit it. And one wants to do away with it altogether. Clearly. Apparently, limiting access is not enough. Some people just shouldn't be allowed to talk in this chat. True. Love freedom, then hate, that means everybody gets it. Correct, because they're actually not in favor of freedom. They actually mean they don't actually like freedom. That's a thin veneer that they like to hide behind. They actually don't believe in any of that. Clearly. As we've been, as our friend here just demonstrated, some people just shouldn't be allowed to vote. Nah, fuck off. Nope. If you're a citizen of this, if you're a citizen of a country and you are of 18 years of age and you have, the right to vote, then you should be able to vote. Period. Full stop. There's no questions, no limits in terms of your ability to vote. That's it. They use the word freedom differently, always have. Freedom from restraint for me. True. Rupert Murdoch, the media magnate who built an unmatched global media empire built on hate over 7 decades from a single newspaper and inherited from his... What the fuck is this? Okay, I don't care. Means that he announced on Thursday that he would step down. I have been engaged daily with news and ideas that will not change, Murdoch wrote in a memo to employees of the Fox News, Wall Street Journal, and many other properties that make up his two corporations, Fox Corp and News Corp. The time is right for me to take on different roles. Murdoch's career has been marked by singular drive for business success. That's basically primarily driven by outrage and repeated eruption of scandals. Fox News, which was founded in 1996, played an increasingly prominent role in his profits, influence, and his crises. In his note to staff, Murdoch took a shot at unnamed elites, saying that they have contempt. They have open contempt for those who are not members of their rarefied class, and he said that the rest of the media was in cahoots with those elites. But you are said elites. Okay. That makes me think, that makes me think you're not talking about just elites, if you catch my drift. Yeah. His older son, whatever his name is, who has been leading the company with him, will be the sole chairman of both Fox Corp, the broadcast arm of the family holding, and News Corp, which encompasses newspapers and book publishing. Rupert Murdoch will become chairman emeritus. The changes will take effect in November. Anyways, the point being is that it looks like this guy is stepping down. I don't know if he just feels like it's his time to peace out. But yeah. Will this mark a change in Fox News? Doubt it. Will the direction of Fox News change? Doubt it. So fundamentally, I don't know what the repercussions of this is going to be. And even if under new leadership, which doubtful, because it's just like an oligarch handing down the scepter to his son, who will be an oligarch, who is an oligarch. So yeah, fundamentally, I don't know if any differences are going to happen. But even if the damage is already done, the brain rot that Fox News has done it's done. There's no coming back from that. There's no coming back from that. All right. We have, as you guys probably already know, the UAW strike has expanded. On Friday, 30 workers walking out of all 38 parts distribution centers operated by General Motors and Jeep and Ram owner Stellantis in 20 states was sparing Ford from further shutdowns. President Biden said on X, formerly known as Twitter, that he will visit Michigan on Tuesday, tomorrow, to join the picket line and stand in solidarity with the men and women of the UAW as they fight for the fair share value they helped create. Ford avoided additional strikes because the company has met some of the union demands during negotiation over the past week, said Sean Fain. Yeah, he's not fucking around. They thought he was fucking around, but I guess Ford read the writing on the wall and said, "Nope, I'm not dealing with this." So they're more serious about negotiating with workers, and the other two decided to find out. We've made some real progress at Ford. We still have serious issues to work through, but we do want to recognize that Ford is showing that they're serious about reaching a deal. At GM and Stellantis, it's a different story. Thanks to GM and Stellantis, the successor of Fiat Chrysler, have rejected the union proposals for cost of living increase, profit sharing, and job security, and are going to need some serious pushing. Yeah, fuck them. GM said that it had presented 5 historic offers covering wage and job security. Today's strike escalation by the UAW's top leadership is unnecessary, the company said in a statement. The UAW leadership is manipulating the bargaining process for their own personal agendas. Okay. Stellantis said it made a very competitive offer on Thursday that would pay all current full-time hourly employees between $80,000 and $96,000 within 4 years and 7 months and allow workforce stability during that time. The company said that UAW has not responded. Instead of targeting more production plants on Friday, the UAW went after centers that distribute parts to car dealer service departments that could quickly drive consumers into the middle of the fight if the dealers run short on parts. The UAW said the new walkouts will affect 5,600 workers on top of the nearly 13,000 who began strikes last week at 3 Ford, GM, and Stellantis assembly plants. Those original strikes will continue. Based. The UAW is continuing to avoid targeting plants that make Detroit's best sellers, such as the Ford F-150 and Stellantis' Ram pickups, which represent outsized shares of the company's revenue and profit. That represents a union strategy to gradually increase the pain of a strike on the automakers. Based. Deutsche Bank analysts estimate Friday that GM, Ford, and Stellantis have lost production of more than 16,000 vehicles since the strike started last week at Ford assembly plant near Detroit, a GM factory in Wentzville, Missouri, and a Jeep plant run by Stellantis in Toledo, Ohio. Anderson Economic Group, a consulting firm in Michigan that tracks the industry, estimated that Friday that the strike has caused about $1.6 billion in economic damage, including more than $500 million for the companies and more than $100 million in wages lost to strikers and layoffs. The car makers and their suppliers have laid off about 6,000 workers in moves they say are related to the strike. GM shut down a factory in Kansas that relies on parts stamped at the Wentzville plant. Still, the impact is not yet being felt on car lots around the country. It'll probably take a few weeks before the strike causes a significant shortage of new vehicles, according to analysts. Prices could rise soon, however, if the prospect of a prolonged strike triggers panic buying. Just to be clear, all of this is on the CEOs. All of this is on the CEOs. Any type of like economic damage that they're trying to like frame as like part of the strike is because CEOs and these companies' greed. That's it. Full stop. That's the reason why this is happening. So if there's shortages in parts, shortages in vehicles, whatever, like all this economic damage is because of the greed of these companies. Okay? Period. Full stop. That's it. It's really that simple. They decided that they were going to be greedy and screw over their workers, and now now their workers are using their collective power to basically leverage against the companies. The car maker and some of their suppliers have laid off, blah, 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 blah. Still, the impact has not been felt. Okay, sorry. In the bargaining, the union is pointing to the car maker's huge recent profits and high CO pay as it seeks wage increase about 36% over 4 years. The companies have offered a little over half of that amount. We aren't getting we aren't getting paid what we're supposed to. I feel like our CEO is getting all our money, said Antoine Turner, who walked off his job Friday at a GM customer care center in Belleville, Michigan, based. Turner said that after working there 10 years, he makes $31 an hour. On the same picket line, Shelton Matthews, who started working at GM 3 years ago, makes $20 an hour because the company's tiered wage structure system means lower pay for new workers. The pay disparity is the key issue in the strike. You're doing it, if not harder work, the same work that the person next to you is doing with significantly less pay. Again, this has nothing to do with Joe Biden's agenda on the climate crisis or whatever. This has nothing to do with climate change. It's really that simple. The companies say they can't afford to meet the union's demands because they need to invest in profit. They need to invest profits in a costly transition from gas-powered cars to electric vehicles. That's part of the cost of doing business. And second of all, hey, you somehow managed to be able to give CEOs a massive bonus and pay CEOs to the tune of tens of millions of dollars, which how come that's not a problem when you give them that much money? Is a CEO worth $29 million? How much work do they do? A $7,500 tax credit per EV. Yes, this is courtesy of the Biden administration. They have dismissed out of hand some of the demands, including 40 hours pay for a 32-hour week. Bain said that Ford had agreed to some union proposals, including the restoration of cost of living wage increase that were dropped several years ago, better profit sharing, and improved job security. A Ford spokesperson, Daniel Barbosa, said the company is working diligently with the UAW to reach a deal that rewards our workforce and enables Ford to invest in a vibrant and growing future. Although we are making progress in some areas, we have significant gaps to close on the key economic issues. Arthur Wheaton, a labor expert at Cornell University, said GM and Stellantis seem to feel less urgency to settle, partly because they have more lower tier and temporary workers than Ford and have no big interest in trying to increase those costs. Rather than bargaining with one company and set a pattern for contracts at the other two, the UA has been negotiating simultaneously with all three Detroit giants. By favoring Ford after a week of talks, the UAW moved closer to the traditional bargaining pattern, getting the best deal it can from one company and then expecting the others to match it. Fain has promised all week to escalate the strikes if there wasn't significant progress in negotiations. Targeting the parts distribution centers could inflict quick pain on GM and Stellantis, said Daniel Ives, an analyst with Wedbush Securities. The UAW is going for the gut punch as the strike gets a lot nastier. I've said he called it a very strategic and risky poker move by the UAW. Other industry observers said that dragging current owners of GM and Stellantis vehicles into the fray will backfire on the union. No, it should backfire on the company. People who have a car that they need to repair will not be sympathetic to the UAW when they can't get their car fixed and get to work. Again, if you find yourself in this position, you shouldn't be angry at the workers who are just demanding their fair share of the value that they helped create, okay? You should be angry that the CEOs decided to be so freaking greedy. That they put you in this position. The CEOs put you in that position. If you find yourself that you have a car like this and you can't get it fixed because of parts or whatever, because of this strike, then you shouldn't be blaming the workers. Actually, GM has better supply chain stability and Stellantis has more diverse product line, and both can absorb more losses than Ford. Is that why they're holding out? That will teach Ford to not need a bailout 15 years ago. Yep. Well, you would think, evil robot Jeff. People who have a car they need to repair will not be sympathetic to the UAW when they can't get their car fixed and get to work, said Eric Gordon, a business professor, makes sense, at the University of Michigan. No, they should blame, and rightfully so, the CEOs. Even with Friday's expansion, the strike involves only a little over 10% of the UAW's 156,000 members. That will make the union's $825 million strike fund last longer, as most members will keep working under the expired contract and pay into the fund. However, the longer the strike lasts, the greater risk of dissension between workers who will keep collecting full paychecks and those getting $500 a week from the union. Fain believes that most of the public is on the union's side. He invited anyone who supports the union, all the way up to the President of the United States, to join strikers on the picket lines. Fain had previously seemed lukewarm at best about a Biden visit, saying that the strike was a union's fight, not the president's. Biden will land on Michigan a day before a visit by the leading contender of the Republican nomination, former President Trump, who plans to skip the GOP debate, instead to speak to union members. Michigan figures to be a key battleground state in the next election. Trump carried the state in 2016. Biden won it in 2020. The UAW has not endorsed a candidate in 2024. Also, GM is a big military supplier. Oof. Senator Bob Menendez and his wife indicted on bribery charges. Yep. Yep. Democratic Senator Bob Menendez and his wife have been charged with bribery over their alleged acceptance of hundreds of thousands of dollars in return for the use of Senator's influence to enrich 3 New Jersey businesses and benefit the Egyptian government, according to the indictment filed in the Manhattan federal court that was made public. Yeah, so to say that, like, oh, they're weaponizing the justice system to only attack a certain side. No. If only one side is doing the crimes, then, like, I don't know, man. But the point being is to illustrate that, like, no, the Justice Department isn't just targeting Trump because he's a Republican, okay? S.V. Harkin, it was the gold bars. Gold press latinum. The charges include conspiracy to commit bribery, conspiracy to commit honest service fraud, conspiracy to commit extortion under color of official right. The bribes the couple received including cash, gold bars, payments towards a home mortgage, compensation for a low or no-show job, luxury vehicle, and other items of value. The gold bars. That's what you guys are talking about. Federal agents say discovered many of the items when they executed their search warrant in the couple's home in Englewood Cliffs of New Jersey. Like, you don't see, like, You don't see like Democratic leadership talking about how like, oh, the weaponization of the federal government is now cracking down. Like, no, man. The dude clearly is has been doing some really sketchy stuff, and now it's time to pay the Pied Piper. He got caught. And you know what? Good. Federal agents said that they went after him just to prove that point. Right, yeah. They went after him just to prove that point. Federal agents said that they discovered many of the items when they executed the search warrants in the couple's home in Inglewood Cliffs. They found more than $480,000 in cash, much of it stuffed into envelopes and hidden in clothing, closets, and a safe, including jackets bearing the senator's name that were hanging in a closet, as well as more than $70,000 in Nadine Menendez's safe deposit box, the indictment alleges. Jesus. Look at that. Agents also allegedly discovered a Mercedes-Benz convertible worth more than $60,000 that the New Jersey businessmen Wael Hanna and Jose Uribe gave to Menendez's wife in exchange for the senator's interference in the state prosecution of Uribe's associate and investigation into an employee whom Uribe referred to as a relative. Federal agents also found gold bars worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in the senator's home that were provided by Hanna and other businessman Fred Dybus. All three businessmen were also charged in that indictment. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer confirmed in a statement afternoon that Menendez has rightly decided to step down temporarily as chair of the Foreign Relations Committee until the matter is resolved. A source close to Menendez earlier said that he would step down from his position on the panel while the case proceeds. I mean, like, the dude should just fucking step down, period. But whatever. He dismissed the allegations against him in a statement saying prosecutors have misrepresented the normal work of a congressional office. Bro, are you serious? The normal work of a congressional office involves, like, a fuck ton of cash and gold bars and Mercedes-Benz. That's the normal work of a congressional official. Still nothing like the $2 billion Kushner got from Saudi Arabia. I mean, yeah, innocent until proven guilty. Well, allegedly. That's right. I remain focused on continuing this important work and will not be distracted by baseless allegations. My dude. Cash. Gold. Okay, whatever. The senators are already facing resignation calls from fellow Democrats. Which, yeah. Can't say the same. Including some from Menendez's home state on Friday that say that he should resign. Take him off committees. Yeah, he should. Well, yeah, he stepped down, but he should really just not be a senator, to be quite frank. Menendez rebuffed all those calls, saying that in a statement, they were rushing to judge a Latino and push him out of his seat. No, man. Okay, whatever. Quote, I'm not going anywhere, he said. In fact, he announced that he was going to run again or some shit. Nadine Menendez's lawyer, David Schertler, in a statement said that she denies any wrongdoing and will defend vigorously against the allegations. Yeah, I mean, okay. Put him on the Supreme Court where such activity is awesome and cool, actually true. The senators and his co-defendants are expected to appear in the U.S. District Court for Southern District of New York in Lower Manhattan at 10:30 a.m. and will be arraigned later that day. The U.S. Attorney for Southern District of New York, Damian Williams, announced the charges at a news conference Friday. Williams noted that Menendez's Senate website says he can't compel an agency to act in someone's favor, influence matters involving a private business, or get involved in criminal matters. But we allege that behind the scenes, Senator Menendez was doing these things for certain people, and those the people who are bribing him and his wife. The investigation in this case is ongoing. Williams said that asking anyone with knowledge of this matter to call the FBI tip line. Among the allegations in the indictment is that Menendez provided sensitive U.S. government information and took steps that secretly aided the government of Egypt. It also says the senators pressured an official at the U.S. Agriculture Department for the purpose of protecting a business monopoly granted by Egypt to Hannah, who's an Egyptian American. According to this indictment, Hannah and De Menendez were friends for many years before she started dating the senator. In early 2018, she informed Hannah that that she was dating Menendez, and in the following months and years, they worked to introduce Egyptian intelligence and military officials to the senator for the purpose of establishing and solidifying a corrupt agreement, in which Hannah, with assistance from the other two businessmen, provided hundreds of thousands of dollars to bribes to the senator and his wife in exchange for Menendez's acts and breaches of duty to benefit the government of Egypt, Hannah, and others, including with respect to foreign military sales and foreign military financing. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is pretty bad. This is pretty bad. Around March of 2018, Menendez met with Egyptian military officials at a meeting arranged and attended by then his girlfriend Nadine and her friend Hannah at the senator's office in Washington, D.C. The indictment says the meeting did not involve a professional staff from a Senate office or a Senate Foreign Relations Committee. That's treason, maybe. In 2018, the indictment alleges the senator sought non-public information regarding the number and nationality of persons serving at the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, Egypt, from the State Department, which is considered highly sensitive because it could pose significant operational security concerns if disclosed to a foreign government or if made public. Without informing any of his staff on Capitol Hill or the State Department, he texted that information to his then girlfriend, Nadine. She then forwarded it to Hannah, who then forwarded it to an Egyptian government official. Jesus Christ. They did this to make Biden look better by comparison. Well, Bob Menendez is not running, is he? Like, I don't know. I mean, it's not inconceivable that it's just true that this dude's corrupt. Okay? It's not that inconceivable to just go to the simplest explanations. Like, yeah, the dude just took bribes. The indictment does come after year-long corruption probes led by Williams' office. Menendez, yeah, but they were letting him slide for years. That's kind of hard to prove because, like, how do you know? Maybe, like, they just didn't know about it until now. I mean, like, maybe they didn't know until somebody tipped them off. Like, it's hard to say. I mean, I just don't know. I have no way of knowing that. Other than, like, well, it looks like the dude's been involved in some sketchy stuff and now he's facing the music, so to speak. It takes time to build a case, too. True. The indictment comes after a year-long corruption probe led by Williams' office. Menendez has previously denied any wrongdoing, saying in May that I'm sure it's going to end up in absolutely nothing, as now he's indicted. Okay? The indictment is the second the senator has faced since he was elected in 2006. He was charged in 2015 with illegally accepting favor. Wait, he has a history of this shit. Wait. He has a history of this shit. He was charged in 2015 with illegally accepting favors from a Florida eye doctor, including flights on private jets, 3 nights at a 5-star hotel in Paris, and more than $700,000 in political contributions for him and the Democratic Party. The case ended in a mistrial after jurors were unable to reach a unanimous verdict, and federal prosecutors just decided not to retry him. Menendez appears to be the first sitting senator in U.S. history to be indicted on 2 unrelated criminal allegations, according to data compiled by the Senate Historical Office. Jesus. The senator who was elected to a third term with 54% of the vote is up for re-election next year. Yeah, I think he got careless and was feeling a bit too comfortable. Yeah, especially beating the first charge of, taking favors. I mean, bribes, okay? Like, illegally accepting favors is literally a fucking bribe, which is the same shit that he's in right now. The same hot water that he's in right now. So yeah, this dude has a history of this shit. So it could just be that, he just got caught and it is what it is. In my opinion, good. Good. And I hope that this time, they build a nice solid case, because like this shit can't fly. This is the type of shit you don't want in your government. It's already bad enough, like, but yeah, this needs to happen, in my opinion. Yeah, he just got caught again, right? So, yeah, I mean, fuck this guy. Honestly, he should just resign as a senator, period, and have somebody, and have the governor replace him. All right, folks, we're almost there. Trump pledges to investigate MSNBC parent company for threatening treason. Former President Trump pledged to investigate Comcast, the parent company for NBC and MSNBC, if he is elected in 2024, saying that it will be thoroughly scrutinized for their knowingly dishonest and corrupt coverage of people, things, and events. Red flag. They're almost all dishonest and corrupt, but Comcast, with its one-sided and vicious coverage by NBC News, in particular MSNBC, and often and correctly referred to as MSNBC, should be investigated for its country-threatening treason. For treason. Yeah, this is pretty freaking bad. Yeah, like, okay, there's a difference between, like, saying, like, obviously there's a lot of partisanship, especially with these news organizations, but, like, why, if that's the case, then why not also prosecute Fox? Why is it only one side? Here's a question. How can a news organization, should be investigated for country-threatening treason for having a partisan viewpoint that you don't like? Okay? Like, MSNBC being cringe is a whole other separate argument that we can table for now. And, like, you know, obviously, like, MSNBC, and, like, you know, the whole, like, partisanship, like, hyper-lib, neo-lib partisanship. Great. We can table that for a second. But, like, so that's a red flag when you have a major contender to the presidency saying that we should investigate only one side, by the way, only one side, because we can't, we're not going to talk about, like, the extreme one-sided coverage of Fox News, right? We're not going to talk about, like, the extreme one-sidedness of Fox News, but we should only focus on one side, because I perceive that they are in bed with my political rivals. That's a red flag. Why don't they go after them on antitrust grounds? Because he's not interested in that. The point is that he wants to shut down a perceived outlet, a news outlet, because they're with the opposition. Another way of putting it is that he wants to shut down any he wants to shut down, like, the biggest megaphone the opposition has in his mind. In fact, he's okay with that, and he's threatening to investigate them under treason. Yeah. Quote, I say up front and openly and proudly that when I win the presidency of the U.S., they and the others of the mainstream media will be thoroughly scrutinized for their knowingly dishonest and corrupt coverage of people, things, and events. That's incredibly vague, because that applies to Fox News. Trump also rehashed a phrase that he's often used, calling the enemy, the press, the enemy of the people, which is, again, big red flag. The fake news media should pay a big price for what they've done to our once great country. It is unclear whether a particular story or report drew Trump's ire. He sat down with the Meet the Press host on NBC earlier this month. During the interview, Trump repeated false claims about the election. His subsequent efforts to overturn the election and remain in power are at the center of federal charges against him. MSNBC hosted a panel discussion on Thursday on federal prosecutor Nora Dainey, saying she left the Durham investigations of Trump Russia ties because of political meddling in the probe. If Trump is being accused of treason, he must project the exact same accusation back like a mirror. Yep. He's still pissed off about the reporting on the numbers at his inauguration. You mean the actual reporting, like the one that we could all see with our eyes because of there's picture evidence of this. If he can hurt Comcast, will it matter how? They just want money and Trump being short-sighted. Well, yeah, it matters. Because it just means that like anything I don't like, I will call treasonous and I will investigate. Like in his world, in his mind, anything that is perceived related to a political opponent has to be eliminated, shut down, because it's treasonous. Do you see where that thought process is going? Because I guarantee you, it's not going to stop at MSNBC. We talked about like what these people really mean, and it just means that like I'm going to shut down any dissenting voice. I'm going to shut down their biggest megaphone. I'm going to shut down their funding. Like anything that he can think and perceive that is part of a political opponent, he's trying to, or he's making the threat that he will shut it down. That's the problem. Like, if you want to have the discussion about like Comcast having way too much power and influence, fine, we can have that discussion. We can have that discussion. And I'm right there with you. I think Comcast and all these media companies do have a lot of power. The difference is he's singling them out because he perceives them as the Lugenpresse, or the fake news or whatever. He perceives them as political opponents and he wants them gone, which is a massive red flag. So no, no. It's not just being short-sighted, it's being authoritarian. The only view that's acceptable is his view. And that's a problem. That's a problem. I'm kind of surprised that Trump hasn't pointed at a neighbor and said he lied about his New York condo square footage too. True. It's reality challenges megalomania, and the cult supports his megalomania. Yep. I agree with that statement. The foreign president will regulate the ride coverage he dislikes as fake news, as well as signaling out particular outlets and reporters. Yeah, I mean, like, this is pretty freaking disturbing because, like, you know, the things that he says, make no mistake about it, he means these things. I mean, like, right before the election was happening, the dude was literally talking about how there won't be a peaceful transition if he loses. And, like, it happened. So I take this guy very seriously. And I think that people should. Here. A shred of evidence whatsoever. Hey everyone, Carlos here from The Difficult Truth. Roughly about an hour ago, Trump did one of his press conferences, if you can call them that, about coronavirus. Yeah, like, I saw this writing on the wall before his... When was this published? When was this done? This was done September. Oh, literally. A solid month before the election. And one of the questions that the press decided to ask him was, will there or can you commit to a peaceful transition of power? This was Trump's response. Quote, well, we're going to have to see what happens. Yeah. Yeah, like, well, yeah, like, people, like, need to understand that this isn't new. This is very well documented, and like people need to pay attention to what this guy is saying, because when he says shit like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking like go after the media that is my perceived enemies," he means it. He's going to attempt to shut anything that he doesn't like, and going to stifle and eliminate essentially press that he doesn't like. Because he's going to, in his mind, I don't know like what the logistics are on that. My point is, this is his worldview. Dude's trying to say that like we should investigate these newspapers because of country threatening treason. Yeah, he means that. And went on to say, quote, "You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots. Again, I talked about this in my last video. He keeps pushing this conspiracy theory of massive voter fraud due to mail-in ballots without a single basis or a shred of evidence whatsoever. Quote, "You know that I've been complaining very strongly about the ballots, and the ballots are a disaster," Trump said. "Get rid of the ballots and you'll have there won't be a transfer, frankly." Yeah, like, so, I mean, if this is not a red flag, I'm just reading off of Trump's quote. He said, just get rid of the ballots and there won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be, his exact words were, and I remember this now, there'll be a continuation of power. There'll be a continuation, he added. "The ballots are out of control." Let me read that to you again. His quote. "Get rid of the ballots and you'll have there won't be a transfer, frankly. There'll be a continuation. The ballots are out of control." I don't know how else to tell you just how dictatorial that sounds. Yeah, like, I mean, like, that's it. That's end of story. That should have been the end. Period. That should have been the end. Full stop. Like, the dude's literally talking about how there won't be a transfer of power. Like, you know, just get rid of the ballots. There won't be a transfer of power. And then, like, fucking January 6th happens literally months after that. Okay? The January 6th insurrection happened months after that. Okay? Is that ADT with lower blood pressure? Yeah, that's ADT off the cuff, attempting to make news segments. Because this was ADT off the cuff. ADT off the cuff, no script, attempting to make a breaking news video. Because I didn't even have time to set up, like, in my... You can even see the panels, how they really look. This is how it actually looks behind the scenes. If you look behind my panels, they're not actually blue. They're actually black. So the story is, if you haven't heard it before, is that I wanted to make my panels black and white because it kind of fell like it matched my theme of black and white. You know, my logo's black and white. Generally, like, that's just kind of like the theme. My logo's black and white. I need to change that to the other one, but whatever. The point being is that there's a lot of, you know, there was a whole, like, black and white theme going on. So I wanted to make my panels black and white. I painted them black and white. And then, like, I noticed that when I looked at them from the other side, they kind of gave this, like, weird gray blue look. And I ended up liking that better because I'm more biased towards blue. And that's the story. But behind the scenes, that's what it looks like. So anyways, the point being is that, yeah, this is an off-the-cuff, unscripted video that I took with my cell phone. And I just hooked up like a microphone to it. And yeah, I thought those were a tribute to David Pakman. They kind of, well, no, they're a tribute to the Majority Report. David Pakman is a tribute to the Majority Report. Let's get that twisted. But no, yeah, the ongoing theme was that I was doing these shows from David Pakman's basement. That was another bit that was going on for a while. But anyways, the point being is that, yeah, this was off the cuff. I literally just heard about it an hour ago at that time, and I decided to make a video of it in a little ottoman chair that I'm sitting on, a tripod, my cell phone, and a connected boom mic, shotgun mic. That's it. That's how this happened. Yeah, back when I was younger, 3 years younger and less cynical. True. News is already broken. No need to be redundant. Anyways, the point being is that, like, the reason why I brought all of this up is to prove that, like, you need to take this type of shit seriously. When this dude is going around saying, like, I'm gonna shut down one side because one side disagrees with me, or one side made a bad report about me, that I perceive to be bad because it makes me look bad because I am bad. Anyways, the point being is that if he's going around saying this shit, believe it. He's not kidding. He's not fucking around. He's not messing around. Trump really believes it too. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. Regardless, if he really does believe it or not, it doesn't make a difference. He's clearly, the threat is the same. Whether he truly believes it in his heart and hearts, it doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't matter. But, anyways, yeah, like, the whole point of me bringing this, 3-year-old dinosaur out of the 3-year-old dinosaur, internet dinosaur for all intents and purposes, something that's, 3 years old, in internet world, yeah. Trump is as multidimensional as a Mobius loop. But, yeah, the whole point of that, was to make the point that he's not kidding. He's not kidding. He's not kidding. The words that he says are serious. The words that he says are serious, and he means it. He's more predictable because he believes. I mean, he might be a really full-on believer, which probably makes him a little more dangerous. I don't know. I don't know, and it doesn't factor into in my equation, to be honest. That is kind of cool though. What, the old school videos, Randy Ringbo videos, Trump says it's a horrible thing that he gets bad press. Yeah, I mean, he's a bad person, does bad things, gets bad press. Surprise Pikachu face. Right. Anyways, the point being is that he's very serious about this, and if he had the option to, he will do this. Like, never mind the logistics of this, because, like, I don't know if he has the logistics to make any of this happen. But it's the mindset, folks. It's the mindset. He's serious about this. That you called it 3 years ago, almost to that day. Yeah, I mean, I've said, before, even in 2015, that this dude's bad news. Yeah, it's not. No, and I technically, to be fair, I didn't call it. Trump was saying this shit. Trump was saying this shit. Which makes me stress all the more about listening to what he's saying, because he means it. But yeah, that's kind of, hopefully the point has been hammered home. But yeah. When he says shit like, "Oh, I will thoroughly, scrutinize, I will investigate the Lügenpresse," he means this. He means this. right, folks. It is time for dinner, folks. If you enjoy the content and want to help support the channel, make sure you hit the follow button. It really does help us out. And if you can't support us monetarily, there is the YouTube channel, which, if you hit the big red subscribe button, it really does help us out. And spread the word. That also really helps us out, folks. Spread the word. We're here Monday to Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Join the Discord if you guys want any updates on the channel. Tomorrow, stream maybe tentative. I'll have to see what's going on tomorrow. I'll make announcements as always. But we'll see. But worst case scenario, I'll start the stream later. We'll just see. Have a good night, and everyone in chat, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. SV Harkin. Thank you guys all for hanging out. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Thank you, Heat, for keeping the chat chill. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sharpie Diesel. Thank you, Conscious Canuck, for the tier 1 subscription. Alio with the biddies. I appreciate it. Space Monkey for the follow. I appreciate it. Dustin, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. Sharpie Diesel, Jesse James, thank you so much for hanging out in the chat. SV Harkin, Alio, Michael Hassler, Echo Ruster Dragon. Thank you, Evil Robot Jeff. I appreciate you guys mixing it up in the chat. I think I got everybody. A-Bond, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's see. Who else did I miss anybody? I don't think so. I really appreciate all of you guys hanging out. The Simulacra, thank you for mixing it up in the chat as well. Thank you guys so much as always, folks. Make sure to do the social media stuff. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. All right, folks, we're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.